My name is Renee Halstead, and this morning I sat across from the people who made me, watching them try to delete me. Courtroom 14B was too bright for a room built on judgment. The lights buzzed overhead, sharp and sterile, flattening everything into angles and pale colors. We were 6 feet apart, measured and deliberate. The bailiff called the case, his voice practiced, and my parents Graham and Diane sat on the plaintiff's side with their attorney. Immaculate suit, neutral expression, a man hired to erase with precision. On the defense side, there was only me, just me, my chair, and the echo of my heels on marble when I sat down. They said I was a fraud. They said I had stolen the identity of a service member who died overseas, that I forged documents, lied to clinicians, collected benefits I didn't deserve. Their lawyer spoke with tidy outrage, each sentence pressed and folded like a clean shirt. No military photos, no discharge packet, no one who could confirm I ever served. He said my name like it was counterfeit, like it should dissolve under the lights. I kept my hands folded and let the words hit and fall. My uniform wasn't on my body. It was pressed at home in a cedar chest, cedar all clinging to the seams. But my skin remembered it anyway. Kandahar grit between my teeth, the metallic bite of blood, the way the air changed when everything went loud and slow at the same time. The tremor in a medic's voice when I took over compressions and told myself not to look at the face under my palms. They mistook my quiet for guilt. They always had. The judge finally leaned forward. She was compact and composed, eyes steady behind thin-framed glasses. The room obeyed her without knowing why. "Miss Halstead," she said, low enough that the microphones didn't catch it. "Look at me." I did. Something in her expression shifted, like recognition surfacing through ice. "Counsel," she continued, voice now carrying, "we'll take a brief recess." My mother's pearls went still, my father's jaw locked. And then Judge Tessa Morales said, as calmly as if she were reading a date, "Because I recognized the defendant, I served with her." During recess, the room emptied fast. Reporters gathered by the doors, whispering and typing, but I stayed in my chair until the last footsteps faded. My parents didn't look back. In their version of me, there was nothing worth turning toward. "Miss Halstead," Judge Morales said, not from the bench, but from the side door, as if she'd stepped out of a different life. I followed her into a narrow anteroom with a water cooler humming in the corner and the state seal mounted on the wall. Up close, I saw a pale scar crossing her collarbone before it vanished under fabric. Her eyes held mine. "You're still keeping the agreement," she said. "I sign it," I answered. Even now, it wasn't a rebuke. It was understanding. She let the quiet sit between us, then asked, "Who was your lead nurse on the pad?" My throat tightened around a name I'd kept buried. "Captain Maribel Ruiz," I said. "She called the coordinates. She told me not to look down." Morales's mouth softened. "Good," she said. "That's her." She glanced down at her own hands, like she could still feel the sand. "You held my arteries shut. I remember thinking you were too young to be that steady." Something in my chest unlatched. I didn't cry. I just breathed once, fully for the first time that day. A knock cut through it. "Judge, we're ready." She straightened. All granite again. At the door, she paused. "Stay quiet," she said, "but don't shrink." We walked back into the cold light of the courtroom. My father's lawyer was already on his feet, smiling like he'd won. My mother adjusted her pearls. My father stared at the bench as if it could be bargained with. Judge Morales sat, looked at counsel, and said, "Approach. We're going to correct the record." At sidebar, she didn't whisper. She spoke precise and cold. "The plaintiff alleges the defendant fabricated service. The defendant states her records were filed under non-disclosure for a provisional joint task force. This court will not punish her for obeying orders." My father's attorney started an unfairness on procedure. Morales slid a sealed envelope forward. "Pentagon liaison," she said. "Emergency exception. Limited release." The clerk opened it. Pages hid the docket. Deployment logs. Commendations. A medevac form stamped with a redacted route and a call sign. "Dr. My call sign." The one I'd swallowed for years like an ember. My mother's pearls trembled. My father's hands went white around his water bottle. Judge Morales faced the room. "For the record, I served with Miss Halstead in Kandahar. She pulled me from a burning vehicle and held pressure until the bleeding stopped. I carry the scar. No one moved. Even the lawyers forgot how to breathe. Case dismissed with prejudice. She said, the gavel fell once. Clean. Final. My parents filed out without a word. Their footsteps clipped, rewriting me in silence. Outside, humidity clung to the courthouse steps. Veterans I didn't know nodded at me like kin. Reporters called my name, hungry for a story. I kept my head down and walked through it. That night, I opened the cedar chest. Uniform. Field gloves. A chipped coin Morales had pressed into my palm. Years ago, murmuring, "Don't let them make you small." I set it beside the papers and stood at the window until my pulse slowed. They couldn't erase me anymore.